Before we get into the video, to my right is Caps in Full G. Check out his channel. This was taken from my last live. Hit the thumbs up, hit the sub, hit the bell. You know what to do. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Now, I'm going to say this again. Sparring doesn't mean shit. But wait, Tony, you said sparring mattered. No, I did not. The last video I made about Tank Davis and Teofimo Lopez, I said that Teo was younger and they were sparring and Tank looked like he was getting the better of him pretty easily. I also said that I wanted to see them in the ring against each other to see how they grew. I was not pulling from that sparring footage to say who would beat the other guy because you can't. Sparring doesn't mean shit. All I was saying in my last video was about Tank Davis and Teofimo Lopez was the fact that I would like to see how T.O. has grown because he was a young boy. Now he's a man when they were sparring. So we could see the growth of T.O. when he's in there against Tank. Can Tank still body him? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. So to see him in there is the only way to know. It's just to see a gauge of how much they both grown or if Tank's digressed by the lower competition. But anyways, with that being said, sparring doesn't mean shit. And let me tell you why. We could go to any sport, but we're going to go to an easy sport to judge, okay? We could go to track and field or something like strength, weightlifting, right? Something that you can get a gauge on how good you are on any given day. There are times when you could come off on a sprint. Let's say you're fast and you're a sub 10-second sprinter, right? There are times where you might come off them blocks and you don't break 10 seconds because you're just having an off day. Weightlifting, you might be able to max, say, we'll go light, 405, right? But then you come in there and 405 seems like it's 555. You just can't do it. There's some days that you are just naturally weaker for whatever reason. You just wake up and your body's just not firing. It's not functioning. It's not working. And you got to understand when you spar people and you're going to the gym, especially if you're doing it day to day, which is something I never did when I boxed. I went every other day. But most fighters on a professional level, they go to the boxing gym every single day. And they're sparring damn near every single day. Eventually, it's not going to be your day. Eventually, you're going to wake up and your body's just going to be like, nah, I just can't fire off today. So if you get caught on that day, it is very possible that somebody could make you look bad even if you were trying hard. Now, again, I will restate what I say about sparring. In sparring, you never know if the other guy is going 100% or not. And they never truly know if you're going 100%. Because my point is this, I've sparred with people and I've gone only 50%. And I could tell they were going as hard as they could. And they thought I was going hard because they were going as hard as they could. But I was only going 50%. I said 50 Cent, and I'm not going to edit it. Anyways, moving on. I remember a time in the boxing gym where I told a dude, I was like, bruh, don't hit me in my face again. Don't do it. We're just sparring. We're just improving. And the dude said, body work. Don't hit me in the face again. He was going 100. I was going about 50. He hit me in the face. When he did, I hit this motherfucker so hard. We had on 16-ounce gloves and headgear. It didn't matter. I hit him so hard, I broke his nose on the very next punch because he felt what a 100% punch from me felt like. And that's what I'm saying. You don't know what the other person is doing. You may think they're going all out, like somebody sparring Tank may think Tank's going all out, and he might only be doing 20%. See, you see too many times in fighting, and I've said this numerous times, that on fight night, the guy who said he got the better of the other guy in sparring always ends up getting his ass whooped. It's almost like clockwork when people say, oh, I whooped you in sparring, and then they get their ass whooped in the ring. Yeah, you might have whooped him in sparring because you were going 100, and he was only giving 5% of the effort to your 100. So now that he's putting on his other 95%, he's now 95% better than you. See what I'm saying? So I don't take much from it. Outside of that, Tank got a broke hand. I know a lot of channels have reported on this. I just figured I'd throw that in there. You know, it's unfortunate. These things happen, but I can say this. From what I've been reading about Tank, they say that this year, 2021, going into 2022, he wants to take on big names, big fights. They say he's the king of 130 and the biggest name at 135. Do I think he's the biggest name at 135? I would say probably. If you, maybe. I don't know. It'd be a toss-up as far as if we're just going by name and notoriety, meaning how many people know them, not accolades like a Teofimo Lopez, who's got 3 out of the 4 belts. Not going off of that. We just going off of pure fame. I would say that it is close between Tank or Ryan Garcia for who has the most popularity. I know Tank's been doing it for a while, so he may amassed more fans than Ryan Garcia. But at the same time, you got to figure Ryan's got a huge Twitter, YouTube following. I don't know which one's bigger because you have diehard Tank fans, and then you've got a lot of Twitter, YouTube fans of Ryan Garcia. So I think they're pretty close. If I had to edge somebody, just because Tank's been doing it longer, I would say that Tank has probably got a little more fame, notoriety, but I'm not sure. It's close between those two by far. So, I mean, I guess I could agree with that, but at the same time, the problem with Tank is this. Tank was ahead of all these guys. There was no Ryan Garcia. There was no Teofimo Lopez. They were fighting, but they weren't big like Tank. There was no Devin Haney. Tank was out before them, had a bigger name before them, but because Mayweather has moved him so smoothly through the waters and avoided all the rapids, people are starting to forget his name, and other people like a Ryan Garcia who stepped up to fight Luke Campbell, a guy like Teofimo Lopez who stepped up to fight Lomachenko. These guys' names are now starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and if they go on to keep doing what they're doing, they're going to overshadow Tank pretty quickly. Tank has got to make a move. He's got to fight one of these bigger guys. Personally, if I was in Tank's corner, I think he should fight Devin Haney next. I think that is the easiest matchup for him to win against all these guys. Devin Haney's shorter than Ryan Garcia. He doesn't hit nearly as hard. He's more mobile, but he doesn't hit hard. And I don't think he has faster feet than Tank. So you got Devin. Then you look at Teofimo Lopez. Well, with Teofimo Lopez, you get caught right, you could get put down. You could get put to sleep. It's possible. He's done it to fighters, a lot of fighters. Now, there's been fighters who have survived him, but that happens at high levels of boxing. Sometimes you could be a hard hitter, but you can't never hit that sweet spot to translate. You know, there's very few guys in boxing, and even this happened to Deontay Wilder, but I'm using him as an example. There's very few guys in boxing who can hit you with a off-balance punch, a punch that's not taught correctly and still knock you out, a punch that's on the top of the head and still knock you out. Very few men who have ever been able to do that. Most people, even when they have power, they still have to catch you right to put you away. It's just the fact of when you have a lot of power and you catch that right spot, then it's over. It's done. Whereas somebody who doesn't have a lot of power has to hit that right spot multiple times to put you away. See what I'm saying? That's the difference here. So even with Teo, just because he didn't knock out a couple of people doesn't mean that he can't knock somebody like Tank out if he hits him in the right spot with one shot. So that's a dangerous fight for Tank because, again, he's shorter than all these guys. So he's got to come into range to get hit. Or at least what I mean by that is when he's coming in is the most dangerous because he's walking towards a punch coming at him. So, again, you have to compare Devin Haney to Teofimo Lopez. Well, why would you want to go after Teo when you go after Devin, who's not going to knock you out? He's just not going to do it. So, again, out of those two big names at lightweight, I say Devin Haney is the easiest. Then you got the other guy, the guy who was once the man on top that got defeated, dethroned, Lomachenko. Now, Lomachenko's around your size, your height. But one thing we know about Lomo is he can dance around you. We also know that Lomo can take a punch because Teo didn't knock him down, didn't knock him out, and outside of that 12th round, didn't look like he even hurt him, and that 12th round could be attributed to Loma just being tired. So, again, Loma's got a chin. So it's not guaranteed that Tank's going to be able to knock out Lomachenko. So Loma might be able to dance around and beat him on points, and if Tank can't get the knockout, he can't win the fight. And also, it's going to be easier for Loma to fight a guy like Tank because they are similar in stature. I mean, I think Loma's still taller by like 2 inches, but, you know, you're getting a little bit shorter to get a little bit closer to Tank's height, whereas Teo, I think they say, is like 5'8", which I question, but still. So you got a guy like Loma, who you're probably not going to be able to knock out, who's got a chin, who possibly could beat you on points. Whereas you look at Devin Haney, he was getting pieced up by Santiago and hurt by a guy who ain't got no power. So again, no matter how it goes, all roads lead to Devin Haney being the weakest of all of them. And if I was Tank Davis, that's who I'd go after. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that Tank can beat him, because it's very possible that Devin can stay on the back foot and keep Tank at bay and Tank never get in to win the fight. I have my doubts that he could do that, but it is possible that he could fight that way. He can make it look like a very boring fight, but it's not boring because it's technical skill. If he can outskill him, he can outbox him, and he can beat him on points. I just have my doubts with Devin Haney's hands. Like, he punches so soft that I find it very hard that a guy like Tank, who knows how to cut off the ring, who knows how to come through you, is not going to be able to walk straight through him and just pin him and hit him and hurt him bad. So again, for me, going forward after this hand is healed, I think Devin Haney is the best opponent. Now, he may need a warm-up fight, which would be understandable depending on how long his hand takes to repair. It depends on what degree of fracture it is, first, second, third degree. It depends on if only one bone was broke or it was several bones broke, where the break was. Was it in his fingers? Was it back towards his palm? Like, where did he break it? Was it near the wrist? We don't know. There's a lot of bones in the hand, so it all depends on what bone he broke, where he broke it, and etc. for how long it's going to take him to recover. So if it takes him a while to come back from this handbrake, then a tune-up may be what he needs. So, I would not be mad if he takes a lesser opposition fight for his first fight back, especially when you want to test that hand to make sure it's 100%, because you don't want to throw it as hard as you can in a real fight and then re-break it or fracture it, however you want to state it, and then you're down a hand for the rest of the fight. Now, what a lot of people don't know is you can actually keep punching with a broken hand. However, it hurts like a motherfucker. And it just comes down to, can you take the pain? Because once it's broken, it's already broken. You know what I mean? It's broke. Y'all already fucked it up. So you can keep throwing it. There's been fighters who have done it, who've had broke hands and keep throwing it, but it's going to hurt. Can you make it through that pain of doing it? It's not a good situation to be in, to where you have to know that every time you hit somebody, you're hurting yourself as well. So again, there's that aspect. So I don't know where Tank's going to go from here. Again, to retouch on everything that I said, I don't think the sparring means shit. I guarantee you, buddy, I don't even remember his name, and I'm not going to say his name to give him any type of shine. But the dude running around saying that he bloodied Tank's nose and beat him up, I guarantee you that's who Tank should come back and fight for a tune-up, because I guarantee you Tank's going to knock him the fuck out. Outside of that, broken hand, unfortunate. He's young, still young, so he'll get over it pretty quickly, get back in there. If it takes too long, by too long, I mean like, say, 6-7 months to get better, fight a tune-up, and then go for Devin Haney. That's my suggestion. That's who I'd like to see him fight, because Devin Haney, as of now, does have a real legitimate WBC belt. And if you can beat him, then you could go for a Ryan Garcia or a Teofimo Lopez, depending on if you want to go for undisputed or if you want to go for the clout. That's how I see it. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section.